get our clapping hands going, our feet stamping. Wolf whistle! Good guy,
Thank you. Thank you very much. Does anyone else wonder if when sour cream goes off it just smells and tastes like normal cream? No, it's just me. How about herbal tea? Does anyone wonder why we drink herbal tea? Because it's basically tea but much weaker and with almost no flavour. It's like a hot cup of disappointment, really. If you served me a herbal tea, I'd think that you were wanting to say, I really don't like you, let's go outside. No, it's just me. Well, that's all my light material. Should we get stuck into the Bible? It's interesting how the opening line of the Bible is in the beginning, which is quite bold, because it indicates that this is a record from everything since the dawn of time. It's impossible. We don't know when time started. It'd be a lot better if the opening line of the Bible was a lot more representative of what's to come, which is basically incredibly tall stories with no proof. It'd be much better if the opening line was once upon a time. Or if you wanted to be formal, it could just be like, allegedly. Allegedly, God created the earth in 7 days, but police are still following up on a number of leads. And I'd like to very much say this investigation is ongoing. There is one believable story in the Bible. That's the story of Joseph, the original stepdad. And in a book full of stories, like every animal survived a 40-day flood in one boat, and wise men on camels giving gifts to babies in barns, this is quite a believable story. Joseph's a chippy, he's a tradie, he's a chippy, he's a good bloke, and he's married to Mary. She's a good chick. The Bible doesn't say what Mary does, but I like to think she's an influencer. And they're happily married, you know. And then one night they have this really weird dream where an angel appears to them and tells them that Mary's carrying the child of this super important bloke called God, and he lives a long way away in a place called heaven. Joseph wakes up and thinks, fuck, that's weird. But, you know, I'm a good bloke, I'm going to stick by Mary and raise the child as my own. Like, how hard can it be? Well, as it turns out in this case, pretty fucking hard, actually. As Jesus is no ordinary child, he's very opinionated, very self-worthy, and very, very fucking lippy, actually. He's got a lot to say. From a very young age, he was out telling everyone who'd listen, you know, about how his father has a plan, you know, and if you're not a believer on Judgment Day, then gone. Which does wonders for Joseph's business, I'm sure you can imagine. And then Joseph pulls him aside and says, Jesus Christ, Jesus, what's going on? You're killing my business. And Jesus just pulls out some stepson specials like, you're not the boss of me, and I know you're not my real dad. And then when Jesus grows up to be an age when he could pick up the tools, you know, and help Joseph on the work side, he doesn't. No, he just mouths off to the Romans one too many times and ends up getting crucified. 3 days later, ascends into heaven to go and live with his real dad. And then to rub salt into the wound, a little while later, Mary ascends into heaven to go and play happy families with the bloke she had an affair with a while earlier. Leaving Joseph all alone and working 7 days a week to pay off the mortgage. And answering some very uncomfortable questions from the authorities about the disappearance of his wife and stepson. How do you know so much about the Bible, Gary? Well, I was raised a Catholic. We went to church every Sunday, so instead of being up here telling you cool stories about my childhood, I can just tell you I know a lot about the Bible, which has been very helpful with the ladies. Because nothing says sexy like an Old Testament story, I'll tell you that. Tell me more about how Lot's wife got turned into a pillar of salt, Gary. The Bible. There's a book full of stories with massive fucking holes in them, isn't there? You don't have to go very far. Get to about page 3, you'll find the first story. It's Adam and Eve, the first 2 people on earth. They have 2 sons, Cain and Abel. Anyway, Cain and Abel fight quite a bit, and Cain actually kills Abel. It leaves 3 people on earth. Anyway, God comes down and banishes Cain to go and live in the desert and presumably die, but he doesn't. No, he meets a woman and marries her and has quite a big family. Where'd the woman come from? Gets better. Cain builds a city and then goes on to live to be 730 years old. An oddly specific and incredibly unbelievable number, I would think. Like, even if he had discovered superfoods and was eating a diet rich in antioxidants, you know, it's not going to be making 730, surely. But I think my favourite Bible story is that of Noah's Ark, because if you believe the Bible, then every Australian animal had one hell of a fucking walk, didn't they? See, because Noah's project management team, they weren't looking after land-based transport, no. No, there's no passage in the Bible that says, Noah smiled when he saw his ark was complete and doth loudly decreed, go forth and collect thine animals in the courtesy buses provided, and bring them hither. See, God didn't even tell Noah that Australia existed, or that kangaroos can't swim, or emus can't fly, or just how slow a thorny devil walks, which is painfully slow. Now, for those of you who don't know, a thorny devil's a Central Australian lizard. It's about as big as my hand, and it moves about as fast as a sloth with crippling anxiety. This is a thorny devil escaping imminent danger. If there was one animal that desperately needed a courtesy bus, it was that one. So the more astute of you might have picked up that I'm not that big a fan of religion, but I am a big fan of science. Science is sort of provable, you know, it's repeatable, and it helps advance society. 3 things that religion will never do. But anyway, that's okay. One of my favourite scientific works is that of Charles Darwin, which is the work on the survival of the fittest, because it applies to every living thing on the planet. Well, everything less one, us, human beings. Why doesn't it apply to us? Well, not that long ago, we invented OH&S. Which quite simply is a policy that keeps stupid people alive way longer than Mother Nature ever intended. And I'm painfully aware of how many stupid people OH&S has kept alive because I work for the federal government. And advancements in science lead to advancements in technology. Isn't technology amazing? You know, we've all got multiple devices, you know, they're all connected in the cloud, you know, everything we do is recorded in a cache or cache if you wish to be chic. And cache in a computing term means we remember every single website you've been to, and we're going to use it a little bit later on to fucking ruin you. But all of these connectivity is not good, you know, all this because you get targeted advertising, you know, and that's a real pain in the ass. If you make one mistake in a Google search engine, you are hammered by ads for things that you don't want. Like you get avid fisherman, you know, who misspells queenfish and ends up with heaps of ads for quilting supplies. I don't want your fucking fabric, I don't want it. You get your avid cyclist who misspells lycra eco-friendly and ends up with heaps of ads for Lego friends. But then you've got teenage boys, strangely, who can't spell to save themselves but don't suffer from any of these problems at all. Still, I suppose, a 4-letter word on a keyboard's pretty easy. P-O-R-N, enter. No worries, I do that fine. But all this connectivity hasn't been tickety-boo for me though, because I managed to connect all of my work devices and my home devices somewhere in the cloud, and I can't undo it. In addition to this, I'm a parent to teenage daughters who are way more comfortable asking Google all of the uncomfortable questions about their body that they would never ask their parents. Now, these 2 parts of my life came into sharp focus recently when I was called into a meeting in my boss's office, an impromptu meeting. And as a straight, white, middle-aged man, I can confirm to you that there are no words available to you to convince your boss that you are no way interested in the perfect size and shape of a 16-year-old's breast. Or just how much is too much pubic hair in an adolescent girl. Or which member of One Direction really is the hottest. Like, I don't even know what One Direction looked like, yet it was my reputation that was completely ruined, and it wasn't even my cache. Oh, it's terrible, isn't it? Look, so I don't work on computers much at work anymore. They won't let me, naturally, but I do a bit of work. I do work on the printers, and it didn't take me very long to work out that I reckon in Australia, an Australian named the colours that go into a colour printer. So, like, it's almost like the job was here, make these colours sound exciting and dynamic. So the Australians start off well, they called red magenta and blue cyan, but then just, I don't know, maybe went to a late lunch, sort of didn't bother after that and thought, fuck it, you know, magenta, cyan, yellow and black will do, won't it? Truly the Australian spirit. It's a real don't bother kind of attitude, which I think there's a fair bit of wisdom in. And I've only recently discovered the don't bother wisdom, and I'd like to share various don't bother moments during the show with you. So my first one is don't bother teaching kids to play musical instruments. Because no matter how much money or time you pour into that black hole of hope called music lessons, they will never fail to surprise you with the noises they can make. And don't be surprised if this goes on for years and years as the revolving door of music teachers misidentifies that sound as potential and promise. So my advice, a few parents in the crowd, excellent. So my advice is that after 2 months, when your child plays the instrument and your dog still winces, cut your losses, sell the instrument and buy your child a ball. Any ball, it doesn't matter, they're clearly not musical. And while we're on musical instruments, which psychopath decided to give recorders to children? That decision's had some ramifications, hasn't it? Holy shit. Here is a small, portable, robust, wind-powered instrument that doesn't have any keys or strings that would, God willing, break and make it useless. They can follow you around the house with it and never goes out of tune. That's not a musical instrument, that's a tool for torture. And why is it called a recorder? It's really weird, isn't it? There is no sound that thing makes that any parent wants to hear twice. I believe we should rename it. I think we should call it a once only. Or better still, an affirmation for the future. Never again. World wars, genocide, children playing recorders. Never again. Oh yes, it's very good, isn't it? I'm probably the walking proof, I think, that white men can't dance. And if it wasn't for alcohol, then women in every developed nation would be dancing alone. You see, it's alcohol that gives men the courage and the disconnect from their coarse motor skills, to give it a go. And I can only speak on behalf of Australian men, but we don't dance, We like contact sports and hunting and fishing. And we like childish innuendo and we like fixing mechanical things, We're really good at not going to the doctor till it's way too late. And our core motor skill, our core skill is to suppress 99% of our emotions until we have a fucking massive breakdown. Australian men think that you can have a complex emotional discussion using grunts, shoulder shrugs and long pauses. And then you can ask this man to dance. What? Dance? You mean move my body in an abstract way being guided only by my emotions? Of course I'll need to be half cut to do that. Alcohol's what Australian men use to deal with anything that makes them uncomfortable. Asking them to dance without it is like asking an American to give up guns. Or a vegan to eat a mixed grill. Or a One Nation candidate to host Harmony Day. And eat couscous. What is this shit? Holy dooly. So I was at a party recently and I was avoiding the dance floor naturally, and that's where I met a bloke who told me he was right into existentialism. Foolishly, I said, "What's that?" And he stole the next 3 hours of my life telling me. So existentialism, for your benefit, which I will now summarise, as he should have, is the part of philosophy where you discuss the existence of things and you attempt to prove or disprove their existence. For example, am I real? Are you real? How would you prove it? Are emotions real? Does love exist? He even asked me if the chair I was sitting on at the party existed, and if so, how would I prove it? It's at this point that I thought, who the fuck has time to think about this sort of shit? And if they do, what do they do with the answer, And then that thought sort of morphed into a fantasy, where I stood up and I picked up the chair I was sitting on and it felt real. And so I started to move it a bit. And it did indeed feel real. So I hit him with it. Just to prove that it did exist. And he cried out in pain. So not only does the chair real, but pain exists as well. And it was after meeting him that I realised that my kids are actually into existentialism. Yes, I know, come with me. It's only a couple of minutes. We'll get through it. We'll get on to the next bit. So just about a month before my first was born, all these parents came up and said, "Oh, parenting's amazing. Kids are brilliant. They will make everything like 1,000,000 times better. Every day will be fantastic. You'll wonder how you ever survive without them." And I can confirm that all of that is bullshit. Not even close to being true. But they will do one thing. They'll prove to you that things that you thought were impossible are quite possible. Like my two will eat amazingly stupid things. Like they'll reject perfectly good food that I put in front of them because of the size, the colour, the shape. Maybe it's touching another food, to the point of gagging it back onto the plate in front of me. But they never fail to eat every bit of snot they pick out of their nose. Even when I catch their hand, they'll fight it to their mouth. And then when I thought things couldn't get any worse, I've witnessed each of them pick a scab off themselves and eat that too. But it's okay, the problem lies with me. Clearly I'm putting too much effort into meal preparation. What's for dinner, Dad? Scabs and snot, help yourself. Kids will repeat the same problem, like the same mistake over and over. Like my kids will knock over their drink at the evening meal, like so often that we still use paper cups, plastic cups, and they're not toddlers. And how does this happen, Gary? Well, what happens is it appears that they lose the use of their vision and they don't see the cup in front of their plate and they just punch fucking through it. Which elicits the response from me like, just map it, for Christ's sake. Make a mental map of where it is. Actually, better still, don't punch anything on a table. And kids will outsmart technology. Like my daughter had my phone a couple of years ago and she was asking Siri some questions. And she said, Siri, are you real? And Siri said, I'm sorry, I don't understand the question. And my daughter said, oh, look, I'm real, Siri, and I'm guessing you're like me. Are you real? And Siri said, oh, whatever you say. And my daughter said, no, Siri, you're the smartest person I know. Like, surely you can tell me if you're real or not. And Siri paused and then said, I've been advised not to discuss my existential status. Oh, Siri's just kicked up on Nathan's phone. Nice, there we go. Siri, are you real? I didn't think that was going to happen. Nice one. Anyway, Siri says, I've been advised not to discuss my existential status. And just to let Siri know she'd been outsmarted by a 7-year-old, my daughter said, Siri, what does existential mean? And then I couldn't help it, I just blurted out, it's got something to do with a chair and feeling pain. Don't bother putting too many cushions on couches, like lots of them, because they just have to constantly be moved, And market research shows that the minimum number of cushions that go on a lounge these days is 187, or until it covers the entire seating area of the lounge, whichever comes first. You wouldn't believe my surprise when I found out from the budding interior designer that I share a mortgage with that the floor is not an okay place to store these cushions. So there I'm a grown man, bear hugging lots and lots and lots of cushions, pivoting from side to side like some crazed basketballer, trying to work out where the fuck I'm going to put them. And I came up with one solution, and I bought a second lounge to put them. But sadly it didn't stop there, because my budding interior designer decided that once I'd negotiated the lounge, it was going to be exactly the same process in the bedroom. So look, tip from the top, if you're planning on settling down with your budding interior designer, then when you're out buying that second lounge, just pick up a second bed as well. Might save your relationship. I started riding my bike to work a little while ago. Why? Oh, look, I can do better, Less fossil fuel, one less car on the road. The exercise is good for me. And I want to point out that it's entirely my decision to start riding my bike. I was influenced by no one and nothing. And it has absolutely nothing to do with a recent disqualification of my licence. Which was bullshit. It's real bullshit. And it didn't take me very long to work out that if you ride your bike either on or near a road in Darwin, then you are you're fucking brave. Or stupid, but probably both, because Darwin motorists really don't like cyclists. And they communicate it really clearly using their bull bars. There's two types of motorists. There's the motorist that doesn't see the cyclist, and so therefore they drive straight towards them. And then there's the motorist that does see the cyclist, and they do pretty much exactly the same thing. So if you see someone riding a bike in Darwin, then understand this. Understand that they have all their affairs in order. They've made peace with their family. And they're ready to meet their maker, whoever that is. Because there's one saying that accurately describes people who ride bikes in Darwin. And that is that every day is a bonus. Because no matter how bad your diagnosis, there's still a chance you'll survive cancer. Unlike riding a bike in Darwin. And I was riding my bike the other day on a road, but within a bike path, you know. And this car pulls up beside me, and the bloke matches my speed, you know, and he yells out through the open window, "You're an asshole, mate!" And then he accelerated off. And I was confused, but I thought I do value clear communication, so I was... And then he slowed down, and he matched my speed again, and yelled out, "A complete asshole!" And then drove off again. And I thought, well, I'm still confused, but it was nice of him to clarify his point. You know, but I couldn't work out why he called me an arsehole. You know, I was visible, I was obeying all the road rules, I wasn't wearing any lycra, like none. No lycra at all. Like maybe he was unhappy I wasn't paying $2 a litre for fuel, possibly, that might have been it. And then I started to really analyse the word arsehole and how we use it, you know. It's one of the benefits of riding a bike is lots of thinking time. So we use the word arsehole to describe horrible people who treat us with contempt and disrespect. Whereas an actual arsehole is a really, really, really important valve that does a job that no other body part can do. And this valve exists at the lowest part of the bowel and can hold back solid and liquid while simultaneously releasing gas. Which is phenomenal when you think about the physics, isn't it? You know? And we're in control of when it releases this gas. We all are. Some of us choose not to be, but we all are. Oh, there's a couple of people patting someone in the audience too. That's all right, I won't name you, it's okay. And this valve will remain closed even when the bowel's really, really full, you know, and every other body part desperately needs it to open, you know. This valve isn't a horrible person who treats you with contempt and disrespect, it's your very best friend. It keeps your dignity intact. It's a valuable asset to everyone around you. Why don't we use more useful and appropriate body parts when we're describing something horrible or someone horrible? Like, it would have made way more sense if the bloke had pulled up beside me in the car and just gone, "You are an appendix, mate." Appendix. Or he could have said, "You are a set of infected wisdom teeth, nothing more." Or he really could have pulled out the big guns, you know, and just gone, "You're useless, mate. You are nipples on a man. That's all you are." Don't bother leaving short, confusing comments on significant Facebook posts. Like, so for example, there was a post from someone who said they were really struggling with depression, you know, very hard time, getting a lot of help, weren't really making much progress. Life was very tough, you know, so it was a heavy post. And about 5 or 6 comments down, it just said, "Use turmeric." What the fuck, you know? Like, this person needs a series of appointments with a very good mental health professional. They don't need tips on how to make a curry paste from scratch. There was another post where the person said, "Look, having a very hard time at work, my boss is very oppressive, I've got a toxic workplace culture, you know, I love the industry, but I don't know if I can remain here, you know, I just don't know what to do." And about sort of 5 or 6 posts down, it said, "Start your day with chia seeds and finish it with lentils." I don't know, I really don't know. Like, what this person needs is a recruitment agency. They don't need tips on better gut health. Yes. The segues will get weaker and weaker as the show goes on, I'm just letting you know. I hope everyone's enjoyed the freedom rallies we had around the world earlier this year. I know I did. We had our own here in Australia. It's called the Convoy to Canberra. Does anyone remember it? No one? Oh, good. Okay, this will go well. Excellent. Anyway, I'm going to tell you all about it, so that'll be great. Yeah, thousands of people converged at Parliament House in Canberra to protest the mask mandate and the vaccine rollout and the travel bans, you know, up to a peak of 10,000 people. It was pretty amazing, isn't it? 10,000 ignorant people all in one place. That was their protest. They called it a protest against the tyrannical government to fight for their freedom, whereas I called it a massive missed opportunity. Interestingly, it's also the first time 10,000 people have visited Canberra and no one's visited Questacon. Too much science in there for an anti-vaxxer, isn't there? But it wasn't for want of trying though, you know, like there were kids. There were definitely kids at the protest going, "Dad, can we go to Questacon?" "No mate, we're here to protest the mandate." "What's a mandate, Dad?" "I don't know, but it's shit and we don't fucking want it." Yeah, but Dad?" "Yeah, hold this placard above your head and when a camera comes nearby, yell out, 'My body, my choice.'" But the bit I enjoyed the most about the convoy to Canberra were the Facebook posts, and I'm going to share two of my favourite posts with you now because they were a gift. A gift from, I don't believe in God, so they were a gift from the internet anyway. So I'm just going to show someone here. Do they look like Facebook posts to you?
Yes, sir.
Great, excellent. Because I don't want to give you misleading news or anything, that'd be terrible. Because the first one says, "Everyone, please be careful today. Yesterday, a member of my resistance crew collapsed and had to be taken to hospital with what appeared to be a wasp sting. We just heard from his wife this morning and apparently he was hit in the neck with a blow dart containing Moderna." The scariest part is that literally hundreds of people yesterday were complaining about bees and wasp stings, yet no bees or wasps were to be seen. Just be careful out there, guys. So, let's just assume this is true, shall we? Just suspend belief for a second. ACT health employees then had to be trained in traditional jungle hunting techniques, didn't they? They had to remain within blow dart range whilst being undetected, all in suburban Canberra, didn't they? Am I alone in believing that's highly, highly unlikely? And the second one, guys, I'm sorry to say, but I know a few remote contacts in various high places, tech and government, and unfortunately I'm becoming increasingly convinced that the high rates of sunburn reported over the weekend was something more serious. The theory that was presented to me was that the 5G towers surrounding Canberra were recalibrated to focus harmful wave energy over the general vicinity of our protest. If you were at our protest and now have sunburn, track the number of days you felt burnt. If it's longer than a few, you've got 5G poisoning. And have grounds for a class action lawsuit. Good luck, everyone. And the beauty of this is we've got a comment from a bloke called Stu Mitchell. "Yeah, a friend noticed 5G on his phone and noted he'd never seen that before." A gift from the internet. Thank you, Stu, for that incredible insight into your tiny, tiny fucking mind. So much to unpack here, so much, but let's just start with what is 5G? Okay, well 5G is a radio wave, just like 4G and 3G before it. It's just a slightly higher frequency, so it can carry more data. What else emits radio waves in our environment? Oh, well, AM/FM radio towers, TV towers, weather watch radar. Oh, and the Earth, it emits quite a few radio waves as well. What's the biggest emitter of radio waves in our environment? Oh, that'd be none other than the fucking sun, which also causes sunburn. Class action, hopefully that's dispatched of that. And again, a massive missed opportunity, wasn't it? Holy shit. As for 5G, it's just the most advanced mobile communication technology we've ever had access to. We can do amazing things with it if we wanted to. Advance our own lives, the lives of others around us, even our environment. Do we use it for that? Not quite, no. We use it to share memes and funny videos, post selfies and pictures of our food. We also use it to engage with influencer testimonials. The way we use 5G is akin to jumping in the latest technology racing car and driving it straight into a wall. Or building a state-of-the-art hospital with the greatest technology, but only doing one procedure. It's lobotomy, after lobotomy, after lobotomy, after lobotomy. And look, social media doesn't do much that's good for us, you know, like a recent post I saw on Instagram was a photo of an open book on a blank page, and there were just the words on it that says, "Instagram is not real life." And I just thought, wow, how ironic. Here's a digital photo of a physical medium telling you that the platform you're viewing it through is not real. Like, what an excellent use of 5G. And all it pointed out is that Instagram can have an existential crisis too. And the very next post was a plain background, and all it said on it was, what do you want from your life coach? I don't know, how about silence? A 3,000 kilometre separation and all my money back? That's what I'd like. But I thought that might be a bit harsh, so I looked up what a life coach actually does, and as it turns out, not harsh enough. And then I started to wonder, the more research I did, I thought if we replace physical life, like actual life coaches, with a pre-recorded message of positive affirmations and helpful suggestions, would anyone even notice? Like it might sound something like the following. Namaste. Welcome to Life Coach Premium. It's always darkest immediately before the dawn, and you are more than the sum of your parts. Have you tried writing a list? Thank you for calling Life Coach Premium. The second call might be, welcome to Life Coach Premium. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And how are you going with that list? Thank you for calling Life Coach Premium. Welcome to Life Coach Premium. As we've detected this is your third call, it's our duty to tell you it's all about the list. Just write a list and fucking stick to it, will you? A pen, a piece of paper, it's a list. Everyone uses a list. Just, it's not special, you're not special, just write a list, Thank you for calling Life Coach Premium. Call charges will definitely apply. Namaste. And excessive use of social media can lead to some terrible outcomes, like mental health problems, like depression is one of them. And I'm really worried that depression is made much worse by really helpful people giving painful suggestions. And I've had first-hand experience of this. Like I've had a woman in my face just sort of saying, have you tried doing something really nice to help you with your depression? Have you tried that? Have you tried cooking a meal that you would really enjoy and then just like eating it? Have you tried doing that? No? Okay. Have you tried closing your eyes and imagining something that would just make you really happy? Like really happy? Do it now. Okay, close your eyes. And just think of something that will make you the happiest happiest you ever be. I won't go anywhere. I'll stay right here. Just close your eyes. Do it now. So I closed my eyes and I imagined her mute. Which did indeed take me to a happy place, but she spoke again, so that was short-lived. The definition of depression is the loss you feel when you try to do everything you possibly can, but you still can't solve your problems. Like asking someone who suffers from depression if they've tried doing something nice for themselves. It's like asking a type 1 diabetic if they've tried producing insulin. Have you tried using your pancreas to produce insulin? Like mine does, and I don't have any problems with glucose at all. Have you tried using your pancreas? It's down here somewhere. Have you tried that? Or asking someone with irritable bowel syndrome to just like hold it in. Have you tried like not shedding yourself? Have you tried that? Like just going to the toilet once and then like not shedding yourself? Have you tried that? Because like if you shit yourself in public, that's going to be like really embarrassing. And that could lead to depression. And that's really hard to fix. It's so hard to fix. So just maybe like don't shit yourself. Can you do that? Don't bother typing the apostrophe into contractions. Oh, contractions are words where you take out a letter and put an apostrophe in place of that. Comedy, religion and grammar. Well done, people. You've paid good money tonight to listen to this, haven't you? You see, there's no point having the apostrophe there because it's almost always the same number of letters. And you don't waste all that time looking for the apostrophe on the keyboard. And it also makes no difference because it doesn't change how we recognise the word or how we would pronounce it. Like if I left the apostrophe out of don't, you're not going to come along all of a sudden and go, oh my God, what's this new word? Is it don't or donut? Oh my God, what does it mean? I'm lost. And if I leave the apostrophe out of mustn't, you're not going to come along and just go, what is mustn't? Is it some new type of condiment or something? Oh my God, shit, I don't know what I'm going to do. Just don't bother with the apostrophe. You don't need to have them. It's okay. Oh, okay, everyone loves grammar. All right, I'll stop it. I'll move on to Bunnings now. See, the segue's just not there at all with that one, is it? I shop at Bunnings quite often. Why? I just love selling my soul to the devil, really. That's what I really like. It's nothing better than giving your hard-earned cash to a little Aussie battler. A little Aussie battler like Bunnings, you know. Just battling away there with his international buying power and his monopoly on hardware sales and his annual revenue of 16.5 billion. Just a little Aussie underdog. Just battling away, you know. And Bunnings has to do all the heavy lifting in hardware retail, you know, because as soon as Bunnings arrives in town, every other hardware store just fucking evaporates, you know. And they do this by being open every day of the year. Well, every day except for two, Christmas Day and Good Friday. Bunnings believes in God. All right. Nothing warms my heart more than knowing that a company that absolutely suffocates its competition and pays its staff fuck all has good Christian values. Bunnings, lowest wages are just the beginning. So you won't be surprised to know that whenever I go to Bunnings, I like to try and get a bit back for the common man. I like to stick it to Bunnings a bit. So the first thing I do is I go straight to the outdoor furniture area and I find the comfiest lounge and I settle in. I fucking settle in, you know. And I start binge watching a Netflix series. And I'm very comfortable, I want to let you know. And then about at the 5 or 6 hour mark, a staff member comes up and says, "Sir, you're going to have to leave the store." And I've got my reply down pad. I go, "What is me being here on this lounge cutting into your 16.5 billion annual revenue, is it?" And he goes, No, you're going to have to leave because you've been here for 5 hours wearing nothing but your underwear." So then I make my way to the paint counter and I always order 2 sample pots of paint, always the same colour. Because at Bunnings, a litre of paint costs about $15, but 2 500ml sample pots, they're free. Sticking it to the man. And just a tip, if you collect 38 sample pots of paint, you can paint 1.5 average sized bedrooms. And then I head to the till shop and I pick up 1, maybe 2 tape measures and I just start measuring shit, you know, like a madman. You know, I'll just go around and get to like even doing like the shelf height and the width of the aisle, you know, like I'm on some sort of crazed citizen's audit, you know. And I just tut after I make every measurement. And I'll measure everything like right up to the checkout, you know. But a very important point here, if you want to do this, people, take the tape measure out of your basket or your trolley before you go through. And then if the checkout person says, "Oh, don't you want to buy those tape measures?" And you go, "Not those ones, they've been used." So fast forward to a couple of weeks ago and I was working on my daughter's bike in my shed and she was there helping me and of course she got bored so she started going through my toolbox and she said, "Hey Dad, why do you have 5 blue, 4 orange and 2 pink tape measures all brand new?" And I just said, "Well, sometimes, darling, you get caught out helping a little Aussie battler." Oh, yes. So I hate Bunnings, but I hate cooking shows even more. Does anyone else hate cooking shows?
Yeah.
Oh, 1. Great. Okay, well, I'm doing this to you, sir. There you go. Everyone else just, I don't know, talk amongst yourselves for a bit. The cooking shows are everywhere. I feel like they've invaded us, you know. They're on streaming services, they're on the internet. SBS has its own channel. Reality TV shows are in like more than their 10th season. Like we need more fucking reality TV. If you stand back far enough, you realise that we've developed an intense fascination with food and that's become integral to our daily lives. And history shows that almost every empire collapses immediately after having a fascination with food. Yeah, the Persians, the Romans, the Ottomans and even the Russians lately, you know. Just to name a few. It's not really funny, it's more just sort of food for thought, really. It's like nourishment for the soul. It's like an elixir for life. Sorry, I just got carried away. I thought I was on a cooking show there for a moment. The exact number of cooking shows I've seen is too fucking many, actually. And the ones that blow my mind the most are when they go to a farm and cook in front of animals. There's this show called Paddock to Plate, and they will cook a beef dish in a paddock in front of cattle. Like, how fucking bold is that? Like, why don't the cattle just come and fuck shit up, you know? You can only take one, it just has to walk up and stand behind the chef, and when he says something really incredibly annoying like, I'm just going to tenderise this beef with my kitchen mallet. The cow can go, like fuck you are. And then just smash the chef out of the way, and tip the table over, sending bespoke organic ingredients everywhere, turn and shit on everything, and then just chase the chef around the paddock Pamplona style for a while. Like, that's a cooking show that I'd like to watch. Might have to change the name a bit though, like it might have to be from paddock to plate to paddock versus plate. A lot less cooking with bespoke organic ingredients and a lot more cooking with Fight Club. Tune in tonight to find out if Gordon Ramsay will be chewing on a steak or if he'll be shish kebab on the end of a bull's horns. Straight after that, he was the naked chef, now the pacifist chef, soon to be a fucking boring chef. Tune in as Jamie Oliver cooks prawns and very small fish. Yet again. But there's no record of cattle ever fighting back. And I wonder why. I really wonder why they don't. And I wonder what we would do if we were faced with the same situation. Like, imagine there's another animal that's smaller than us, but smarter and more organised, And it turned up to your work one day with a camera crew and just started cooking bits of human flesh, like in front of you, And then just looks at everyone and then turns to the camera and says, it's so good to be reconnected with their food and see how it lives its life, While it seasons the dish with crane arm. And then when the dish is finished, they'll take the first mouthful and go, that tastes delicious. And reminding everyone of how easy it was to cook and imploring them to go out and buy some free-range human from a reputable butcher and they will taste the difference. Like, what would we do? Like, would we say something? Like, I'm sure we'd want to say, hey, please stop cooking human in front of us in our office. But quite a few of us would worry that might be seen as a microaggression. And we might be denying the chef their agency. Maybe we might get really angry and might go up to the OH&S representative and report it as an incident to be raised at the next meeting, of course. What am I saying? They wouldn't even step foot through the door before the office Karen would fuck them up, wouldn't they? Oh, yes. COVID's been shit, hasn't it? It's been crap. No segue there either. With the lockdowns and the travel bans and the people having punch-ups over toilet paper in the supermarket. Well, that bit was a little bit entertaining, but the rest has been shit. But there was one fringe benefit though, an empty airport. I got to fly a couple of times during COVID for work, and there's nothing more glorious than an airport without stupid people. But we're back now, we're flying, and stupidity reigns supreme. And Darwin has some special features, like you get there at 1 o'clock in the morning and find someone incredibly confused standing at the check-in counter saying, what? And the check-in staff saying, your flight left 23 hours ago. You're a day late for your plane, proving that they can't use a calendar or a clock. You got people who make it to the front of the security check-in counter, the security counter, and they've completely forgotten what metal is and where it resides on their body. And there's people who believe that hand luggage can be this big and it can weigh 45 kilos. And so it's normally as I'm sitting on the plane, is it you, is it? Oh, there we go. Nice. Eve, I thought so much better of you. And so it's normally as I'm seated on the plane in between two very loud, obnoxious people, and I'm watching Eve put her trolley in the overhead locker, that I realise there's only one thing that's going to make air travel more enjoyable, and that's another fucking pandemic. And I'm prepared to do the hard work. I'll be patient zero. I'll do it. So when the flight attendant comes up and says, would you like to eat anything, sir? I say, do you have any bat or pangolin? I've had some monkey or rodent, cooked or uncooked, it's fine. I'll have the lot. They never do, but I always enjoy 3 seats to myself soon after, so there's a fringe benefit. I don't bother wishing people to have a fantastic day because it's really highly unlikely and it's pretty fucking annoying actually. Because statistics show that that most of our days, like 90% of them are average. They're just meh, you know. The remaining 10% are on a scale between a bit shit and quite fucked. You know? So if you're enthusiastically wishing someone to have a fantastic day, I'm very worried for you. Because you either have advanced dementia or you've set way too low a bar for what fantastic is. Yes, my name's Gary. It's quite a bogan name. It's got all the attributes. It's got too many R's. Only needs one. It's got the capacity for nasal pronunciation. Gary! Gary! Gary. And it ends in a Y, which in Australia is very close to being a nickname. In fact, Gary's been voted in the top 20 bogan names of all time. Fuck yeah, take that, Jaden. And when I was doing research for that joke, I discovered this website. It shows the top bogan baby names of each year. And I'm going to share with you the top bogan baby names of 2020. Now, these are names that parents gave to their children. So the list for a boy is Crash, Pistol, Axe, Dagger, Fish, and Legend. It's not necessarily a list of baby names, is it? It's far more a list of all the key components of a top-end fishing trip. And the list for a girl is Mattel, as in makes Barbie, Jacqueline, Velveeta, Shania, and my favourite, Vagina. Yeah, I know. Now, I did that joke to a room of teachers a couple of months ago and no one laughed. And then a woman said into the silence, you know that's not funny because it's very close to my roll call, don't you? And I just thought, holy shit, even if I took a metric fuck ton of drugs, I could not dream that shit up. Like, who names their son Pistol and their daughter Vagina? I've got a mate who's a bogan though, and he's a wonderful bloke. He's got a heart of gold. He'd do anything for you, but he's just not that sharp. So, for example, just recently he thought every time someone said biscuit, they were just, every time they said brisket, they were just mispronouncing the word biscuit. And I only found that out because he came to me and said, hey Gary, how come everyone's cooking biscuits in barbecues for like 9 hours for heaps of smoke? Wouldn't that make them taste like shit? And I said, yes, it would. And he also struggles in social situations too. Like, all of his neighbours really judged him very harshly recently, and he thinks unfairly. So I'm going to share the story with you now, and you can decide. So about a month ago, a woman committed the heinous crime of walking her dog along his street just after dark. And you can tell this is happening because all of the caged mutts that are unwalked came to their front fences, and they were going mental at the sheer audacity of this woman to walk her dog. Anyway, she made it about halfway along the street, and my mate heard the sound of one of his neighbour's gates fly open and a dog sprinting down towards him. A couple of seconds later, things went pear-shaped. It was a full-on dog fight. Howling, yelping, snarling, barking. Horrible. So my mate races down to see what he can do to help. By the time he gets there, at least 10 of his neighbours have formed a ring around this dog fight, but no one's doing anything. So my mate's a good bloke. He thinks, well, look, I'm going to have to take charge of this situation. I'm going to have to do something. So he takes $50 out of his wallet, he throws it on the ground, and he starts cheering for the black dog. Get in there! Go! Come on, get in there! Which all of his neighbours told him was not okay. And it was up to me, to explain to him a little bit later on that even though this was an unorganised, unplanned dogfight in his street at night, which he called a gift from God, you still couldn't bet on it. And he said that was the most un-Australian thing he'd ever fucking heard of. And I said, yeah, well, maybe it is, but it could have been worse, like he could have been accused of being a cyclist. Could have been accused of being part of the convoy to Canberra. Could be accused of being a part owner of Bunnings. Could be accused of the person who gave recorders to children. Like, it could have been much worse, Well, I'm pretty close to the end here now. I'm just going to share a beautiful moment with you. I got some amazing advice from a good mate of mine recently. Let's just call him Ryan McManus, because that's his actual name. Anyway, Ryan said to me, hey Gary, if you leave everything till the last minute, it only takes a minute to do everything. The rest is just free time. And I just thought, holy fuck, he has solved the time management issue that's been plaguing us for decades. I had to take a few seconds to really sort of collect myself, and I looked around and I thought, shit, okay, right. And I noticed that we were both standing in our office at work, and Ryan wasn't wearing any pants. So use that advice as you see fit. Look, I just got one more thing, but before I do, I'm going to say a big thank you to everyone. Thank you to Amy Hetherington for running a wonderful comedy garden. Thank you to the Hotel Darwin staff for being here, and thank you for the Fringe for letting us perform. Thank you all for coming, because it's been absolutely amazing to be able to perform in front of all these wonderful people, all these smiling faces. So look, I just want to finish with my final don't bother, which is a philosophical don't bother, so I hope you will indulge me in this. And it's a don't bother worrying about anything, because we all are all just cosmic dust from a directionless comet that smashed into a ball of molten rock billions of years ago. A ball of molten rock we call Earth. And we are the evolutionary result, biological evolutionary result of that dust, and we exist for the equivalent of a cosmic millisecond. And we spend our lives worrying about the trajectory of our careers or the house we live in, or the offence we feel when someone leaves their opinion on a digital platform. Digital platforms that simultaneously and exponentially grow our anxiety and our narcissism until we wake up one day not knowing who the fuck we are anymore. Ironically, while all this is happening, the great ball of gas burning in the sky that powers our existence called the sun continues to expand and will engulf nearby planets while it roasts ours to oblivion. Completely eradicating. Thank you, Ryan.
Finishing on a high.
Completely eradicating any evidence that we exist, pants or no pants. And the most ironic thing in all of that is the time that we spend on this earth, it's most probably the stupid who'll kill us anyway. So don't bother worrying about anything. My name's Gary O'Sullivan. Thank you very much.
Hang on, Gary, come back out here for a second, Gary, come here. Darwin, can we please put our hands together? Also, I just did the maths. Gary O'Sullivan, you sold out your Darwin Fringe show tonight. And crushed it. What did you guys think? That was a great show, right? What a legend. Hey guys, he's also just got Instagram, so fucking... and doesn't know how to tag people. It's so fucking fun to watch. Everyone should follow Gary on Instagram. It's like watching your granddad have a crack. It's so good. Fuck, we love Gary O'Sullivan here. We also love you guys for... Sorry, I shouldn't hang shit on you. You've just done an amazing show. Fucking hell. He's such a legend. He is genuinely one of the nicest people in Darwin and the Australian comedy scene. So I'm really fucking happy for him. Thank you so much for supporting Gary O'Sullivan. Round of applause for you guys.